Imagine walking into a really high-powered law firm, say, 10 years from now.
Right. Picture the classic scene.
Yeah, you open those heavy glass doors and you expect to see the usual, rows and rows of exhausted junior associates.
With their ties loosened.
Yeah.
Just totally buried under mountains of paperwork.
Exactly. But instead, it's quiet. I mean, it's almost serene.
Because there's no one frantically flipping through files.
Right, because in the background, intelligent software is reviewing thousands of dense, complex contracts in, seconds.
Tasks that used to consume weeks of a human's life.
Yeah, completed almost instantly. Draft pleadings are just materializing on screens in minutes. And clients, they're getting preliminary legal advice from an AI before they ever even shake hands with a human lawyer.
And, well, it sounds like a scene from a science fiction movie, but according to the data we're looking at today from Ambat Legal Insights, that serene, hyper-efficient future isn't 10 years away.
It's right now.
Yeah, it's happening this morning. Artificial intelligence hasn't just, knocked on the door of the legal profession. It has fundamentally breached the walls.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really understand where we are going, we have to look at the sheer horsepower of what this technology is already doing today.
And more importantly, we need to answer a massive question.
A massive, heavy question that impacts you, me, and really anyone who might ever need legal help. If AI can process the law better, faster, and cheaper than humans, can it actually replace lawyers entirely?
Right.
And if a machine becomes the ultimate legal mind, what remains uniquely human about justice? So welcome to today's deep dive into this exact topic.
And to figure that out, we have to move past the superficial idea that AI is just like a fancy calendar app or a glorified email sorter.
Yeah, we're way past that.
We're talking about advanced systems that can ingest incredibly lengthy, complex judgments and just distill them into actionable strategy.
Wow.
They draft bespoke contracts, they analyze dense regulatory frameworks across multiple jurisdictions, and they identify hidden legal risks in huge mergers and acquisitions.
I want to look at the mechanism of that for a second, because you're probably thinking, well, how does software actually read a 500-page merger agreement?
It's a good question.
It's not reading the contract line by line the way you or I read a book. It's more like pouring a massive jigsaw puzzle onto a glass table and having a camera instantly map where every single edge piece is.
Instantly seeing where the color gradients shift.
And just snapping it all together in a millisecond.
Yeah.
It identifies the structural patterns of the language instantly.
What's fascinating here is that when you visualize it like that, when you realize it operates on pattern recognition at that massive scale,
Yeah.
you start to see why the traditional law firm business model is legitimately sweating right now.
Because it disrupts the whole foundation. Right.
Exactly. For decades, the legal industry has been built on this pyramid structure.
Yeah.
You have partners at the top and an army of junior associates at the bottom.
Just billing hundreds of hours, grinding through document review.
Yeah, the billable hour, that's the holy grail of a law firm. But if I'm a corporate client, I am looking at this AI and realizing I don't have to pay for a junior lawyer's third cup of coffee at 2 a.m.
Right, you don't have to pay for human fatigue.
Precisely. The shift we're seeing in the Ambat Legal Insights isn't just about cool tech, it's about a fundamental restructuring of legal economics.
It's changing how the money flows.
Yeah. Corporate legal departments aren't just politely asking their outside counsel to use AI. They are actively demanding it. They're basically refusing to pay hourly rates for tasks that an algorithm can do in 3 seconds.
Which forces a huge shift toward flat fee billing, I'd imagine.
Exactly, value-based pricing. And simultaneously, it's democratizing the field. A small solo practitioner working out of their home office now has access to the kind of analytical firepower that used to require a multi-million-dollar overhead.
Which makes me wonder, if the bulk of a lawyer's job historically has been parsing through information, reading, researching, organizing evidence, why shouldn't an algorithm just take over the entire process?
Just let the machine run the whole firm.
Yeah, like if it's the ultimate untiring paralegal that never sleeps, let it do everything.
Well, because information processing is only half the battle.
Really?
Yeah. Law is heavily built on structured tasks, reading statutes, comparing precedents, reviewing those contracts. AI thrives on breaking down unstructured data into structured outputs.
Okay.
But assuming that data processing is the entirety of a lawyer's job, well, it completely ignores the reality of why people hire lawyers in the first place.
Which is what?
When you step out of the boardroom and away from the contract drafting, you realize that the law is a framework applied to raw, unpredictable human chaos.
I'm hung up on that last part. Are you saying the machine breaks down when the data gets too messy?
Not exactly. I'm saying the machine has no capacity to understand the weight of the data. Every legal dispute, at its core, involves uncertainty, values, difficult choices, and deep emotional distress.
Right, the human element.
Take a divorce case.
Oh, the source material had a brilliant breakdown of this. A divorce case isn't just an exercise in family law statutes.
It's not a math equation.
No, it's not just about dividing a retirement account and a house. It's about children. It's about a fundamental breakdown of trust between two people who used to love each other.
Exactly.
It's about a client's deepest, most visceral fears regarding the future of their family.
Or consider a criminal trial. It isn't simply a matter of cross-referencing penal codes and applying a sentencing matrix. It involves human lives hanging in the balance.
Liberty, trauma, all of it.
Right. It's about societal justice. And artificial intelligence can sure scan a court transcript and recognize the linguistic patterns of anger or sorrow. It can tag a sentence as highly emotional.
But tagging it isn't feeling it.
Exactly. Recognizing emotions as data points is not the same as experiencing them. An algorithm doesn't understand betrayal, compassion, remorse, or dignity.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Isn't justice supposed to be blind?
Well, that's the ideal, sure.
We always hear that phrase. Shouldn't the law be entirely objective and stripped of all that messy human emotion? So what does this all mean for you, the client? Do we actually want our lawyers to be emotional? Or is a total lack of emotion actually the AI's superpower?
That's a great point. But we have to draw a hard line between the objective application of the law by a judge and the human empathy required by an advocate.
Okay, unpack that.
Yes, the legal system strives for objectivity in its rulings, but navigating that system requires immense humanity. When a client walks into a lawyer's office, they are often living through the worst day of their life.
They're terrified.
Exactly. They aren't looking for a walking legal encyclopedia to just recite statutes at them. They need a trusted advisor to help them make agonizing, life-altering choices.
So if I'm understanding this, it's not that the AI lacks the data about human emotion. It's that the legal system requires the advocate to actually bear the weight of that emotion alongside the client.
Precisely. That shared human experience is central to why a client trusts their counsel in the first place. You need a human to look you in the eye and say, I know you are terrified of taking this plea deal, but here is why it is our only option.
A machine outputting a probability score of 85% conviction rate, it doesn't provide the psychological shield a client needs.
It doesn't.
Okay, so empathy is required for the client in those private, vulnerable moments. But eventually, you have to leave the office. You have to step into the public, performative reality of the courtroom.
There's a whole different beast.
Yeah, and if empathy is what the client needs to feel safe, persuasion is what the judge and jury need to decide the outcome.
And the courtroom is an incredibly complex, dynamic environment that just defies pure algorithmic logic.
Yeah.
It is far beyond just reciting legal knowledge or presenting a perfectly formatted brief.
It's a stage.
It really is. Think about the mechanics of an effective cross-examination. A skilled trial lawyer is doing a dozen things at once.
Reading the room.
Yes, they are reading the room. They are observing the subtle body language of a witness on the stand, like a slight hesitation, a defensive crossing of the arms, a glance over at the opposing counsel.
Taking all that in instantly.
And they are watching the judge's facial expressions and adjusting their line of questioning on the fly based on like a millimeter of a furrowed brow. They use pacing, they use silence, they negotiate, they persuade, they improvise in physical space.
It reminds me of a Hollywood screenplay.
How so?
Well, an AI might be able to write an Oscar-winning script. It could be structurally perfect, hitting all the right beats with great dialogue and pacing, but it can't step onto the stage and act out the emotion to make the audience actually cry.
That's a great analogy.
It lacks the human charisma to deliver the lines. It can't look a jury in the eye, pause for effect, and make them believe the narrative.
This raises an important question about the nature of our justice system. How much of legal success relies on human-to-human credibility versus pure factual accuracy?
It's a mix of both, right?
Right, because advocacy requires high-level emotional intelligence and strategic real-time judgment. You cannot program credibility into an algorithm.
No matter how smart it is.
Even if the AI drafts a flawless, legally impenetrable argument, a human being still has to stand up in that courtroom and convince another human being that it is the right just path to take.
But that reliance on the AI's perfect script assumes the script is actually true.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where this utopian vision of hyper-efficiency hits a massive brick wall. Because as the Ambat Legal Insights make painfully clear, our brilliant machine has a factual blind spot.
An incredibly dangerous one, yes.
Ah.
While the technology is deeply impressive, we are dealing with a phenomenon known in the machine learning world as hallucinations.
Which sounds poetic, but in a legal context is terrifying.
It really is.
It generates incorrect legal information, but it does it with absolute unwavering confidence.
Right. And we have to understand the mechanism of why this happens. Large language models, which power most of these legal AIs, they are not querying a verified database of hard facts.
They aren't just searching Google.
No, they are, at their core, vastly complex predictive text engines. They are mathematically calculating the next most probable word based on patterns in their training data.
So it's guessing. Extremely educated, mathematically complex guessing, but guessing nonetheless.
Correct. And because legal language is highly structured and repetitive, the AI is very good at mimicking the cadence and format of a legal document.
This sounds like a lawyer.
Exactly. But sometimes it will confidently misunderstand the nuance of a statute. And most shockingly, it will literally invent case law.
This blew my mind when I read it.
It's wild. It will construct a case name, assign it a fake citation number, and write a summary of a judicial decision that never ever existed.
This out of thin air.
Because mathematically, the fake case name looks like the correct sequence of tokens it should generate.
Wow. And you're probably thinking, if the AI is so prone to making up fake laws, why are billion-dollar firms letting it anywhere near their servers? And what happens when a lawyer actually uses one of these fabricated cases?
We don't have to guess. There are real-world consequences happening right now. Courts in several jurisdictions have already heavily sanctioned lawyers who submitted AI-generated legal citations without double-checking them.
Yay.
These lawyers handed briefs to federal judges filled with entirely fake precedents, simply because they trusted the machine to do the grunt work for them.
Here's where it gets really interesting. If the machine hallucinates the fake case, who takes the fall?
The lawyer.
But it feels a bit like, blaming your GPS when you drive your car into a lake. The machine told you to turn right. You followed the tool you were given.
Well, the legal system has a very clear, uncompromising answer to your GPS analogy. The driver takes the fall. Always.
No exceptions.
No exceptions. The legal profession is anchored to core tenets of accountability and professional responsibility. AI is the assistant. It is the navigation tool.
All right.
The human lawyer remains entirely accountable for where the car goes. You cannot sanction a piece of software. You cannot disbar an algorithm.
Because it doesn't have a license.
Exactly. The AI has no professional license to lose, no reputation to ruin, no malpractice insurance to tap into, and frankly, no ethical duty to the court. Therefore, the professional responsibility rests squarely and heavily on human shoulders.
Which means the lawyer's job shifts from creating the first draft to auditing the machine's draft. They have to be the ultimate fact checker.
Exactly. And that tension, the incredible temptation of efficiency versus the absolute necessity of human accountability, is playing out on a massive scale right now.
Which brings us to the ultimate stress test for everything we are talking about today. The Ambat Legal Insight sources point us to a massive real-world case study, the Indian judiciary.
Yes, and it's a fascinating example.
When you look at the sheer scale of the Indian legal system, it is staggering. We are talking about tens of millions of pending cases.
It's almost hard to comprehend.
It is a backlog that actively clogs the judicial system, delaying justice for countless citizens, sometimes for decades.
It is arguably the most complex logistical environment for justice in the world. You have a massive population, a sprawling geography, and proceedings that need to be translated across hundreds of regional dialects.
You look at that situation and think, wow, this is the absolute perfect environment for AI. When you have a backlog of millions of cases, you are starving for efficiency.
You'll take any help you can get.
Right. You're probably thinking, why not let the machine just clear the docket? AI could drastically improve things by automating document management, instantly translating legal documents across all those dialects, handling complex scheduling across 1 billion people.
Summarizing case files for exhausted judges.
Exactly.
And to their credit, the Indian courts are already actively experimenting with these AI-powered tools. They recognize that leveraging this technology is a logistical necessity to manage the sheer volume of work.
It's the only way forward.
But What is critical to observe here is the firm boundary the Indian judiciary has drawn in the sand. They have consistently emphasized one fundamental principle. Technology may assist judges, but it absolutely cannot replace judicial decision-making.
But imagine your own life, your liberty, or your family hanging in the balance of a property dispute or a criminal charge in that system. If you are waiting 15 years for a resolution, you want speed.
Of course you do.
I have to ask, is there a danger that a system carrying the weight of millions of backlogged cases might eventually get so desperate for efficiency that they let the AI cross that line?
From assistant to judge.
Yeah. That they quietly let it slip from being just an administrative assistant to the actual decision maker on routine cases just to clear the pile.
It's a very real temptation.
Yeah.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, India's stance serves as a crucial global blueprint precisely because they face that intense pressure.
They're holding the line.
Yes. They are staring down that desperation for efficiency, and they are consciously saying no. They are declaring that justice, the act of weighing human actions, distributing consequences, and interpreting the law, ultimately remains a human responsibility.
They are firewalling the core of the profession.
Yes, and the same boundary applies to lawyers globally. The AI is becoming a wildly powerful assistant. It is a force multiplier, but it is not an independent legal professional.
It's a tool.
Exactly. And that boundary isn't about protectionism. It's not about saving lawyers' jobs so they can keep buying expensive suits. It's about protecting the sanctity of human justice. A machine can calculate, but only a human can judge.
That is a profound way to look at it. It's the preservation of something uniquely human in a system that could easily become cold and mechanical.
Completely.
So let's synthesize all of this. Based on everything we've pulled from the sources today, what does the lawyer of tomorrow actually look like? It's clear lawyers aren't going extinct.
No, they aren't going extinct, but their day-to-day existence is changing permanently. The routine tasks that used to define the first 5 years of a lawyer's career, the basic drafting, the foundational case research, the endless hours spent organizing discovery documents and reviewing boilerplate contracts.
The grunt work.
Those are gone. They will be increasingly and effectively handled by AI.
Right. So if the machine is doing the grunt work, the human lawyer is finally freed up to do the high-level human work.
Exactly.
Solving complex, multifaceted problems that cross different areas of law, negotiating delicate, high-stakes settlements where ego and emotion are the main obstacles.
Advising clients through those emotional minefields we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and appearing before courts, reading the room, and wielding that human charisma.
The focus of the profession shifts from information retrieval to deep legal strategy and human connection. And crucially, understanding the technology itself will become one of the most valuable legal skills a person can possess.
You have to know how to use the tool.
Right. A lawyer won't just need to know the law. They will need to know how to prompt, audit, and safely deploy the AI tools that generate the law. The future isn't human versus machine. It is humans working with machines.
The lawyers who adapt and learn to pilot these AI systems responsibly will simply outcompete the lawyers who refuse to change. The profession is evolving, not disappearing.
It's shedding its mechanical outer layer to reveal a more deeply human core.
I love that. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, our listener, with a brand new concept to chew on, something that builds on the underlying logic of everything we've uncovered today.
Oh. What do you think?
Well, we established earlier that AI is already being used right now by corporate firms to predict the outcomes of litigation.
Right, the predictive text engines.
Yeah, it analyzes past rulings, the specific behavioral tendencies of a certain judge, and the facts of the case to spit out a mathematical probability of winning. Well, what happens when that AI gets to 99% accuracy? Think about the implications of that for a second. If you and your opposing counsel both run your incredibly complex, multi-million-dollar case through an AI, and the AI tells both of you exactly how the human judge is going to rule with near-perfect certainty.
Oh, wow.
Do we even need trials anymore?
If the outcome of the dispute is a statistical certainty known to both parties beforehand, the entire theatrical arena of the courtroom might just fade away.
Right.
There's no incentive to spend a fortune on a trial if the ending is already written.
Exactly. Does the AI effectively become this invisible judge? It forces settlements and resolve cases in the digital shadows before a human ever even steps foot in a courtroom.
It completely bypasses the human judge.
Yes, not by ruling, but by predicting the ruling so accurately that fighting it becomes economically irrational.
It completely reframes what we think of as the pursuit of justice. It shifts it from a public debate to a private calculation.
And that tension between calculation and justice is exactly where we will leave you today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Ambat Legal Insights. Keep questioning the systems around you, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Subscribe to Ambat Legal Insight and stay legally informed with clear, practical, and reliable breakdowns of the law. Follow our channel and activate the bell icon so you never miss important legal updates, case analyses, and expert insights that matter to every citizen. Support our mission of spreading legal awareness by liking, sharing, and commenting, because your one action can help thousands become more legally empowered. Join the ALI community today across YouTube, podcast, and social platforms and take a step toward understanding your rights, your laws, and your justice. Ambat Legal Insight, because law is for everyone.